Hello and welcome to your July 20th daily briefing. Today is the first day back for the Senate after its July 4th recess, and we'll likely see more action when it comes to the next stimulus check and the next stimulus package in the next couple weeks than we have seen in the last few months combined. Now, I haven't been posting quite as many updates in the last few weeks as I was previously. I was posting up to 3 videos a day previously. This is mostly because I'm working on a big potential outside business project with some investors that's been taking up a lot of my time. However, since we'll likely have a lot to talk about in the coming weeks, you can expect more quality updates from this channel on a regular basis. So make sure you buckle in and subscribe to stay in the loop on what exactly is going on with all these stimulus packages and the stimulus check, all these things that we all want answers to. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the timeline of the next stimulus package, what the budget estimates are looking like, and what the parties and the Treasury are saying about these packages. Basically what we can expect in the next coming weeks. Let's start off this discussion with good old Mitch McConnell and the Senate. The current notion is this bill is going to be a bit of a fight to get anything passed. For the last relief packages, we saw things passed with relative ease as both of the parties agreed to get a surge of funding into the economy as quickly as possible. Back in March, there was kind of this sense of togetherness. The fear of what might happen kind of brought us together for a short period. However, that didn't last, and now things are more political than ever, it seems. Here's what McConnell had to say about getting the next relief package passed. This is a quote directly from him. He said, "Making laws is not easy. This is 4 months later. We're much closer to the election. It's much more challenging politically to get everybody in the same place. So I'm not predicting that our next product is going to be without dramatically more controversy and partisanship." So I have to agree with what he's saying here. Things are now much more complicated, not only politically, but also with the virus now hitting daily record cases again. However, I also have to point out a glaring issue with his statement. This quote of his is a bit frustrating because for months, McConnell wanted to wait and see before any decisions were made on another stimulus package. Well, we have waited and we've seen, and now he's saying that things are going to be much more challenging now that we're closer to the election. And it's like, come on, Mitch, don't complain about the problem that you helped create. And no, this isn't an anti-Mitch rant. I know a lot of people don't like him. I try to be as factual as possible here. I just see this glaring issue. No, he couldn't have predicted virus cases would have gotten worse, but we all knew and all know when elections are held. So it's just a little bit frustrating. Moving on from here, Senator Pat Roberts was also asked about the difficulty of getting a package passed and if it will even happen before the Senate's next recess, to which he reportedly responded by first taking a 10-second pause before saying, "Sure." He followed the dramatic response by saying, "Even the pandemic is now political. It's politics, politics, politics. Very difficult to get anything done." So this was a little bit scary to hear because we, the public, have pretty much been guaranteed a package to be passed sometime between today, the 20th, and early August. I really just hope that both sides can agree for the sake of the people that they're serving here. Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer seems to be concerned as well about this. He has said that there has been no outreach from McConnell on the next package as legislators return to Washington after their break. And here is a direct quote from Schumer on the topic. He said, "McConnell's office is running a partisan process. McConnell is wasting valuable time. We have not heard a peep from McConnell or the Republicans or the administration on any proposal." So with this quote and the concerns I mentioned before, I'm going to go ahead and choose to think positively here. Charles Schumer, from everything I've seen from him, seems like this endless ball of energy. He talks at length on just about every single issue brought up in the news and in the Senate, and seems to want action, 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 just as quickly as possible. That's just my interpretation of him. Where McConnell is a bit slower, taking things kind of at his own pace. So I'm going to go ahead and think positively and tell myself it's only just the first day back from break. Heck, I mean, there's still time left in today. So I don't want to jump to any conclusions when today is still day one. If it's day 10 and we're still hearing this, my tune is definitely going to change on this topic. But for now, I'm just going to think positively and try not to be upset about that statement. To further expand on this, here's a quote that I found from McConnell that gives some insight into why he may not have contacted Schumer's office yet. Talking about starting negotiations, this is what McConnell had to say. He said, "It's not going to be a White House plan. It's going to be us working with the Senate. We're having a detailed discussion with the Republicans and we'll be reaching out to the Democrats as soon as next week." So he said that on Friday. So next week would be this week. So it appears he wants to get a unified plan among his fellow Republicans before bringing that plan to the negotiations table to the Democratic Senate members. If all the Republicans in the Senate are on the same page, they'll have a much easier time negotiating a deal because they're going to be arguing the same thing, basically. So let's move on from here. Let's talk about the total package dollar amount just briefly. This is one of the areas where the mark between Democratic members and Republican members seems to be extremely far off as of right now. On the Republican side, the starting point for negotiations is around $1 trillion. President Trump and his administration have mentioned this $1 trillion figure in the past. And just today, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said, "We're focused on starting with another trillion. We think that will make a big impact. The focus is really about kids, jobs, and vaccines." Many think that this dollar amount will likely increase to somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.3 trillion. However, this is still less than half as much as many Democratic members are vying for. If we go back in time a little bit to the HEROES Act, which was voted through in the House, that had a price tag of $3 trillion. Included in that was nearly $1 trillion just for state and local governments. So the entire package size estimate for the Republicans was the state and local funding portion for the House. There's a big disparity there. So you can see that the consensus for both sides remain extremely far apart as of right now. And there might be some tough negotiations ahead of us as far as what may or may not be included within a fixed dollar amount. Nancy Pelosi seems to believe Republicans will increase their package size. You know, that didn't come out exactly how I intended it to. Anyways, here's a quote from her. She said, "They went from 0 to now 1.3 trillion. That's not enough. We need more. But we see the public evolution of their thinking." So to put these dollar figures into perspective, the last round of stimulus checks came out to a total cost of around $300 billion. And we know that more checks aren't the number one priority. They're a priority to some people, just not number one. We have vaccine funding, school funding, state funding, numerous other areas that need funds. So if we want a next bill to include stimulus checks, we're probably going to need a bill larger than 1 trillion or 1.3 trillion. More likely in the neighborhood of around 2 trillion in order to get all those areas adequately covered. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's meeting in the middle between 1 trillion and 3. We land right at 2 trillion. However, of course, there still are major deficit concerns. We don't want to spend money for the sake of spending money. It's important to spend the funding on the things that will net the greatest return, either in our country's safety, our future, or the economy. We can't just spend it just for the sake of it. So this is all I have for today's daily briefing. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Please consider liking this video if it helped you out in any way, helped keep you updated in any way. Also, check out the link in my description for Webull. If you've been interested in getting into investments, now might be the time to do it. Using my link in the description, you'll receive 2 completely free stocks once you deposit $100 into your account. You'll get those stocks without actually ever spending the $100 if you don't want to. So it's worth the 5 minutes it takes to make an account. I did it. I got $30 worth of free stocks. If you don't like the service, you can actually close your account, keep your $100, and keep the free stock, so there's really nothing to lose. Plus, you'll be helping out this channel along the way. Anyways, I'd like to thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.